The psychology of people who avoid conflict at all costs. You smile when you're angry. You agree when you disagree. Someone crosses a line, and instead of saying something, you go quiet. You rehearse the conversation in your head for days, maybe weeks, but when the moment comes, you let it go. You tell yourself it's not worth it, that you're being mature, that you're keeping the peace, but later, alone, you feel it. The tightness in your chest, the replaying of what you should have said, the quiet resentment that sits in your stomach like a stone. This isn't weakness. It's not even avoidance in the way people think. It's protection. And your brain has been running this program for longer than you realize. Let me say this clearly. You are not broken. You're not a coward. You're not too sensitive or too passive or too anything. What you are is someone whose nervous system learned very early that conflict equals danger. And when your brain believes something is dangerous, it doesn't ask for your permission to protect you. It just does. So let's talk about what's actually happening when you avoid conflict. Not the surface stuff, the deeper wiring, the part of you that's been trying to keep you safe this whole time. It starts with a feeling you probably can't name. Someone says something that bothers you. Maybe it's small, a comment, a tone, a look. Your body notices before your mind does. Your heartbeat shifts, your throat tightens, there's a flash of heat, then a wave of something else. Dread, maybe, or shutdown. You know what comes next if you speak up? The tension, the unpredictability, the possibility that this person will get angry or hurt or cold. The possibility that you'll lose them. So you don't say anything. You smooth it over. You laugh it off. You change the subject. You make yourself smaller so the moment can pass. This is not passivity. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Scan for threat and respond. And for you, conflict doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It feels destabilizing, like the ground could fall out from under you. Here's why. When you were young, you learned something about conflict that most people don't consciously remember learning. You learned that anger is unstable. That disagreement could mean disconnection. That speaking up might cost you love, safety, or belonging. Maybe your parents fought loudly and you felt helpless. Maybe you were punished for talking back. Maybe you watched someone you loved get hurt for standing their ground. Or maybe, and this one's subtle, you were praised for being easy, for not making waves, for being the good one. Your brain took notes. It built a blueprint. Conflict equals loss. Silence equals survival. And now, years later, even when the stakes are low, even when you're safe, your body still responds like it's not. You might recognize this in relationships. Your partner says something that stings, and instead of responding in the moment, you tell yourself you're overreacting. You wait. You process it alone. By the time you're ready to bring it up, the moment has passed, and now it feels too late. So you carry it. The small hurts pile up, quiet and heavy, until one day something tiny breaks you, and you're crying over a dish left in the sink. Or maybe you see it at work. A colleague takes credit for your idea in a meeting. You feel the flash of injustice, but you don't speak. You don't want to seem difficult. You don't want to make it awkward. Later, you tell yourself it doesn't matter, that you're above office politics. But the truth is, it does matter. And the anger you swallowed is still there, sitting in your chest like smoke with nowhere to go. This is where people misunderstand you. They think you don't care, that you're too passive, that you let people walk all over you. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that your brain has decided, somewhere deep in its wiring, that your emotional survival depends on keeping things smooth, on not rocking the boat, on making sure no one is ever upset with you. Because if they're upset, they might leave. And if they leave, you'll be alone. And alone feels unbearable. This is attachment speaking. Specifically, it's anxious attachment mixed with a learned belief that your worth is conditional. That love is something you have to earn by being easy to be around, by not needing too much, by not being too much. So you've become excellent at reading rooms, at sensing shifts in mood, at adjusting yourself to match the emotional temperature of the people around you. You are so attuned to other people's feelings that you've lost track of your own. You know what everyone else needs. You can feel when someone is irritated, disappointed, distant. But when someone asks you what you need, you freeze. Because the truth is, you've spent so long managing everyone else's emotions that you don't know anymore. And here's the thing your brain hasn't told you yet. This wasn't your idea. You didn't wake up one day and decide to become conflict avoidant. You adapted. You learned to survive in an environment where emotional safety was fragile, where peace was more important than truth, where being liked mattered more than being heard. Your brain is still running that old program, even though the environment has changed. But here's the part nobody tells you. This behavior doesn't just protect you from conflict. It protects you from visibility. Because when you avoid conflict, you also avoid being fully seen. You avoid the risk of rejection, yes, but you also avoid the vulnerability of letting someone know the real you. The one who gets angry, who has boundaries, who doesn't always agree, who isn't always nice. And that version of you, the one who speaks up, she feels dangerous because she's unpredictable. Because once you start letting yourself be seen in conflict, you can't control how people respond. You can't manage their feelings. You can't fix it if they pull away. So you stay small. You stay safe. You stay in the version of yourself that people already like. But staying small has a cost. You start to feel invisible even when you're surrounded by people. You start to feel resentful even toward people you love. You start to feel exhausted because pretending to be okay when you're not takes an enormous amount of energy. You start to feel disconnected from yourself because you spent so long adapting to others that you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. And the cruel irony is this: the very thing you're doing to keep people close is the thing that keeps you lonely. As you get older, this behavior shifts. In your 20s, avoiding conflict might have looked like staying in friendships that drained you or relationships where you felt unseen. You told yourself you were being loyal, that you were being understanding, that good people don't give up on people. In your 30s, it starts to feel different. You've been through enough now to know that silence has a price. You've lost yourself in enough situations to recognize the pattern. You start to feel the weight of all the things you didn't say, the boundaries you didn't set, the moments you disappeared when you should have stood your ground. And by your 40s, if the pattern hasn't shifted, you might find yourself in a quiet kind of crisis. Not a breakdown. Just a slow realization that you've spent decades making yourself easy to love, and you still don't feel loved in the way you need. Because people only know the version of you that agrees, that accommodates, that never asks for too much. They don't know the whole you. And how could they? You've never let them meet her. This is the grief that comes with conflict avoidance. It's not just about the arguments you didn't have. It's about the self you didn't show. So why does this behavior persist even when it hurts? Because it regulates you. When you avoid conflict, you avoid the flood of adrenaline that comes with confrontation. You avoid the shaky voice, the racing heart, the fear that you'll say the wrong thing or lose control. You avoid the aftermath, the rumination, the guilt, the wondering if you were too harsh or too emotional or too much. Avoidance is a blanket. It's familiar. It's a way of keeping your nervous system from tipping into chaos. It gives you the illusion of control in a world that often feels uncontrollable. And for a long time, it worked. It kept you safe. It kept you connected. It kept the peace in environments where peace was fragile. But somewhere along the way, the cost became too high. Because the peace you're keeping isn't real peace. It's silence. And silence, over time, becomes its own kind of violence against yourself. You feel it in your body, the tightness in your jaw, the knot in your stomach, the headaches that come from swallowing words, the exhaustion that has no obvious source. Your body is trying to tell you something. It's trying to say, this isn't working anymore. But changing the pattern feels impossible, because speaking up means risking everything you've been trying to avoid: anger, rejection, abandonment, disconnection. It means letting people see you in your mess, in your boundaries, in your humanness. And that feels terrifying, because what if they don't like that version of you? What if the you who speaks up is too much? What if the you who has needs is unlovable? These are the questions your brain has been protecting you from. And they are the questions you'll have to face if you ever want to stop disappearing. But here's what I want you to know. You are not too much. You never were. The part of you that avoids conflict isn't weak. It's protective. It's been trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. And for a long time, it worked. It got you through. It helped you survive environments where conflict wasn't safe. But survival mode isn't meant to be permanent. You are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say no, to disagree, to feel angry, to speak up, to be imperfect, to risk being disliked. You're allowed to be human in all your complexity, not just the parts that are easy to love. And the people who are meant for you, they will not leave when you stop performing peace. They will stay. They will meet you in your mess. They will love you more, not less, because you let them see the whole you. This doesn't mean conflict will ever feel easy. It might always feel uncomfortable. Your body might always respond with a little bit of that old fear. And that's okay. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be honest. You've spent so long protecting everyone else's feelings. Maybe it's time to protect your own, not by avoiding conflict, but by learning slowly, carefully, that you can survive it, that you can speak and still be loved, that you can take up space and still belong. You're not broken. You're human. And you've always been enough. You made it to the end. That says something. If this resonated, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We cover a new psychology topic every week. Always calm, always honest, always human. No gurus, no quick fixes, just understanding.